Colonel, if you go back to October 7th and 23 and you look at till now, from a military standpoint, is it overall fairly impressive that Israel was able to neutralize, to a certain extent, Hamas and Hezbollah and the Houthis to a certain extent and Iran in this course of a less than a 2-year period? And now that we see, Syria with a new president and potentially that region shifting a little bit, can this turn into a major victory for peace in that region? I know those are kind of two separate questions, but I don't think anybody saw Israel kind of coming back so quickly, and all of these forces like Hezbollah and Iran that seemed unstoppable basically being on pause temporarily. Did that impress you or surprise you as a strategist?
I'm a little surprised that Iran accepted the ceasefire.
Okay.
If they had kept it up for another week, that would have been the end of Israel. So I think we need to keep that in mind. No doubt Moscow and Beijing both advised the Iranians to accept the ceasefire. Now we'll see, if that was a prudent decision or not for them over the weeks ahead. But I think we need to understand that Israel had finally struck what I would call granite and could not advance any further and risked being destroyed by Iran. Now, of course, that leaves open the possibility that under those circumstances, the Israelis would have announced they're going to use a nuclear weapon because they've always threatened that behind the scenes. They certainly did in 1973, and I see no evidence that they would not have done that since. It was always the United States that intervened and said, fine, we know you have that, do not use it. I don't think that restraint exists anymore. I don't think we have that kind of influence over them. I think their influence over us is greater. Now, as far as the other things are concerned, Hezbollah is not gone. It still exists. If anything, it's rearming. I do not think that you could regard Lebanon, even though they did a great deal of damage there, killed thousands of people all the way up to and including Beirut. I don't think you can regard that as a foregone conclusion. If I were going to point to an area where they've had significant success, and they are not alone in this and did not achieve it on their own, it's Syria. They managed to replace the government in Syria of Mr. Assad, which they wanted to get rid of for years because of his friendliness to Iran and other reasons. Now we have the former deputy head of al-Qaeda and a deputy head of ISIS, who has now become a president of this new Syrian republic, if you want to dignify it with that name. They're killing Christians on a routine basis. They went into a church just the other day and killed half the people in the church and burned it down.
I think that was just a suicide bomber, right? That was kind of a rogue suicide bomber, right? I don't think that was government sanctioned.
I don't think it was a rogue.
Okay.
And I think we're dealing with a very vicious and dangerous regime in Syria, which is backed by Mr. Erdogan. But then again, Mr. Erdogan and the Turks actually helped to stand up ISIS to begin with. Remember that ISIS was really designed to do one thing, and that was to kill Shiites in Iraq. It was not designed to wander all over the map and kill anybody that got in its way. I think that's now more focused in Syria. And that's where Mr. Erdogan and Mr. Netanyahu have a certain condominium of interest. If they can focus Syria and the thugs that are in Syria on killing, the Shiites in Iraq, because northern Iraq right now is an area that Mr. Erdogan has his eyes on, because Mr. Erdogan is also concerned about the emergence of a Kurdish state.
Peter Thiel took $500,000 and turned it into $1 billion using the exact same techniques we're using inside the investment club. He met a CEO, his name was Zuckerberg. He pitched him the deal and he said, okay, I'll give you $500,000. Mark went public and sold the shares to people like you. Well, what happened to Peter? Well, he exited and got a 2,300x return. The wealthy invest in early stage companies, folks. The public markets are for suckers. It's a rigged game. By the way, this happens in crypto as well. It's called pre-sale tokens. This is Solana. Does anybody know this chain? They sold pre-sale tokens for 4 cents. And you can see the date on there, April 5th, 2018. Look at Solana today, folks. That thing's up over 1,000x. The media and Wall Street and all these hype people get you to buy the top. Meanwhile, they put their clients in at the bottom and they use you for liquidity to make their clients rich. You can play this same game. You just have to have the financial education and the deal flow. That's it.
And you have the potential for that in Syria and northern Iraq. If there's one thing that aggravates him perhaps more than anything else at this stage, it's the possibility those Kurds could come together. We and the Mossad, that is MI6, CIA, and Mossad, have worked very closely with the Kurds. And so this is a touchy area for Mr. Erdogan. At the same time, we worked very hard with Mr. Erdogan to unseat Assad and his government. So I think we have to understand.
Which was a success? Do you think that was a success?
Well, it depends on your view. I don't see anything particularly socially, culturally, or politically redeeming about the government in Syria. And I think at some point, Mr. Erdogan will regret what he's done because he and the Turkish military may ultimately have to go into that place. Syria is by no stretch of the imagination, in my judgment, permanently stable or a status quo member of the region. But the Sunni Islamists are very happy with it for the reasons I've outlined. Mr. Netanyahu is happy with it. And I don't think Mr. Netanyahu will have too much trouble with Mr. Erdogan, provided Mr. Netanyahu and the Israelis stay south of Damascus. Damascus has great meaning in the Islamic world, and one of the earliest Turkish sultans is interred there in one of the great mosques of Islam. In fact, when the Turkish chief of intelligence visited Damascus shortly after the fall of the previous government, he landed at Damascus airport, went instantly to the great mosque and prayed. That was done, with great symbolism in mind. It was a message that first, we Turks are back. We're serious and we are ultimately going to run the show. And secondly, Israel, do not try to occupy Damascus. Don't come up here. Now, how long will this last? Brian, how long did the Nazi-Soviet pact last? Well, it did pretty well from what was it, about August of 39 until June of 1941. So that's not a little less than 2 years. We haven't even, in the Middle East, that's a blink of an eye. So we'll see how long this condominium of interest between the Israelis and the Turks lasts. The interesting thing is that I think Israel has gotten at least short-term what it wants in Syria. It has part of what it wants in Lebanon. The conditions in the Sinai and in Egypt are something else entirely. And the Israelis have made threats to the Egyptians because the Egyptians have moved forces to the border with Gaza. Now, some people say, well, that's just to keep all the people in Gaza from coming into Egypt. That's part of it. But the population in Egypt is absolutely enraged. This is the largest Arab country in the world. And they are enraged at what the Israelis have been doing to murder the Palestinians by the bushel. And of course, very recently, another example in the West Bank of Palestine, you had a whole village of Christian Arabs. They were all driven out of their homes. Some of them were killed, as I understand it. And then the Israelis burned down the town. So these kinds of things are not going to endear the Israelis to a lot of people. And that's why I say this war is not over. It's just really at the beginning, and it's going to go on. Now, if we could move briefly to the Caucasus, this is much more significant, I think.
Hey, I know investing in crypto is scary. It takes a real leap of faith because there are so many scams, rug pulls, and bad actors out there. It's a dangerous business, which is why 95% of people lose all their money. Well, that's why I created the London Real Investment Club, so you can access the hottest deals on the planet and use the crypto bull market to create the generational wealth that you deserve. Join my team of over 100 people from around the world that are making millions of dollars behind the scenes investing in blockchain, AI, Web3 games, DeFi, Bitcoin, and more. Don't miss out. Click the link below to book a call with one of my team now. But hurry, this bull market will end soon.
I know investing crypto can be scary. That's why you gotta join the investment club. Pull the trigger. Let's do this.